Hi everybody. So hopefully y'all can see a lot of the paper here. Okay. So this is an ASMR for people who are looking to relax. Please try to stay positive in the comment section so other people can get the spiritual benefits of this live video. So I will be discussing about an obsession that I feel needs to stop. We'll talk about that in a minute. But what I'm going to do in this video is I am going to be first it looks like this one, and I'm going to be using ultra fine markers here that I bought, these sharps. I am going to test them to make sure that they're fine enough for the drawing part. So this is new stuff I bought. I may actually use these as well for outlining some of the watercolor petals just to be kind of creative. I might use these. And I have a erasable colored pencil that I'm going to use to do some drawing as well. Those are some of the tools here. So I'm going to be practicing trees, a new way to do petals, adding drawing in with the design. So I found a wonderful video here, and it's, I have such a wonderful idea for you today. Let's paint some dots. This lady, she is splashing the watercolor on the page first, and then she is creating the petals from the splashes that are on the page, but have the brush wet. And that's what I see she's doing. So we'll forward it here. She's splashing pretty good. And she's just, I guess, making petal shapes there at random. I did notice she did add some green um, splashes at the bottom for the grass. But I'm thinking green on top and brown on the bottom when I do mine, and letting the green run into the brown so it looks like the grass is growing out of the dirt. So I'm gonna do mine differently. I'm gonna actually have brown um, underneath the green. I may also, I might add a couple little splashes of very light blue at the top and create some little clouds there. I might do that. Maybe uh, dropping a splash of yellow on maybe a few of the petals that are on the left side of the page. I might do that. I never did this exercise before, so we'll see here what happens. So she is dipping her brush in the water first. She dips her brush in the water, then she dips it in the blue. So we'll do that first. But I think once she gets going, like she doesn't stop. Now at some point she draws around the petals. She uses an ink pen. I'm going to actually use a Sharpie. So let's test the Sharpie real quick. That looks kind of bolder than, a little bit thicker than the ink pen. So we might need to switch to an ink pen, y'all. Let's see here. Yeah, we'll see. I guess if it's a little bit thicker in the point than an ink pen, I guess that'll just be the way it is. Okay. All right. So let me see what size brush she's using. Looks like a little brush, like something this size. She doesn't say what size brush she's using. and that's something else. But we'll figure it out. So I was thinking a moment ago about an obsession that we need to stop. And the obsession is needing validation of our growth, needing a witness, and also needing confirmation of what we think our growth is. I think we just have to do, we just have to do things we enjoy and not be so worried about whether someone can see the growth that we see or can see um, any talent we have in it. We have to just do it because it feels good to do it. Like I think like everyone needs to stop focusing so much on um, even meeting weight loss goals and stuff. I think people need to stop focusing on that and just do it. Just eat healthy because it feels good to eat healthy. Okay, these dots are coming off smaller than hers. Oh well. So I'll use a bigger brush next time. So from what I found out here, so she definitely is putting. I might have to do it again for. So I'm just getting the. I'm going to add a little bit of dark because the light. I'm gonna have the light source come from that way. So I'll add some dark green over here. Then I'll add some brown at the bottom. Just to add some dirt in with the a little bit of dirt. Now I think mine is just a little bit too small, the dots, but we'll work it out. So I'm gonna go a little bigger. Yeah, because I feel like the blue, those dots was too small. I'm gonna follow the dots there. I feel like my paint is drying faster than hers. Okay, that looks good. I don't think she's worried too much about. So the light source is over there. I am dipping my I don't know, maybe there's more than. So I think that she still kept it lighter over this way because of the light source. So I do need to make sure it's not that. Oh, I'm not. I see that she does think about like the shape of these things. I got lighter there. Okay, I noticing something about mine's that's not like hers. Hers is hers is different heights. So we'll go a little bit higher, almost like there's one behind that one. But because that's in the sun, we'll make sure that it's lighter. It's higher up. Yeah. So she needed to say like there have to be different lengths, like different heights for it to be realistic looking. Okay. Now I gotta redo this one because this one. Okay, so I got a little bit more dots than she have on hers, but she don't say how many I did. I feel like when I did mine, um, I'm not even want because this one is over here. I'm trying to think about where the sun is over there somewhere. What is she talking about with the petals?
More watercolors with white splatters because this is just making it more, I don't know, creamy looking, more.
What did she get there?
We need them to have some of some stems, right? And then we can do some kind of shape of flowers. I'm using this Pilot GTEC C4. Check the link in my description box. And I'm holding this pen kind of weirdly because I really wish my flowers to not be a typical shape and round, I really wish them to be nice and cute, and I wish them to be not so perfect as well. If you into perfectionism, you need to try this technique. It's so easy. It's very aesthetic as well, I think. I'm holding it really weirdly because I really wish the flowers to be not so symmetrical as well, and allow the pen as well to have run the color. So we kind of allowing the pen to work with the pigment. Oh, I forgot about here. I love that the pen, the Pilot GTEC C4, tons of you have already purchased it, and that's awesome because it is a great pen that works on the wet surface, and it's very hard to find one. And this one is doing its magic. I absolutely love it. Look at the movement of the pigment. Super. And the last one. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we have our really basic flowers done. We can finish at that. However, how about making a little bit of repetition of the of a flower? Super awesome because we will do shape and round. I really wish them to be nice and cute, and I wish them to be not so perfect as well. If you into perfectionism, you need to try this technique. It's so easy. It's very aesthetic as well, I think. I'm holding it really weirdly because I really wish the flowers to be not so symmetrical as well, and allow the pen as well to have run the color. So we kind of allowing the pen to work with the pigment. Oh, I forgot about here. I love that the pen, the Pilot G64, tons of you have already purchased it, and that's awesome because it is a great pen that works on the wet surface, and it's very hard to find one. And this one is doing its magic. I absolutely love it. Look at the movement of the pigment. Super. And the last one, awesome, awesome, awesome. So we have our really basic flowers done. We can finish at that. How? Why not? I love it. The next step is
Oh, her dots is still visible,
easy.
so she
It's
doesn't really
very
care.
aesthetic as well, I think. I'm holding it really weirdly because I really wish the flowers to be.
So let me see what she's doing here. Hmm. Okay. Let me see here. I was supposed to do it a little bit closer because hers is more in it. No, actually, she did go a little higher. Okay. Okay, this is turning out. Okay. Okay. Really enjoying this. It's different though.
Next
So
thing
what
that
does
we
she
can
do?
do is we could have um, wait for this to dry and we could redo it once more. I love it. It's nearly at the point that I'm thinking, I don't destroy it. It's looking so gorgeous as it is. Just make sure you not overdo it. So my idea is I'm gonna just go over once more because I think it would just be nice to have this more defined. And honestly, if you're not into watercolors or if you're scared of them, I'm still learning. We all always learn, but I'm really learning, and I'm trying to come up with those ideas that they are doable for really everyone. For those who really are scared of paints, afraid of destroying the painting, and you don't know how to do drawing. You're not good at drawing. Well, this is a perfect idea for you because it really is working. Like few dots, few blobs, water, doodle. Honestly, you have to try it. It's 5 minute doodling, 5 minute project, and it is for everyone. I promise you, you can do that. You can come up with any shape of flowers right now because it's just the fact that you can do magical way, you can do whatever way it feels. Look, it is so gorgeousness. I'm loving this freedom of painting, freedom of doodling, freedom of color. Let's dry this. After drying, I always put something heavy on top of my paper so my project is flat now. I think we can call this one finished except one little thing. I feel that my lines here faded a little bit, so I think where the paint is, I'm gonna just redo it a little bit just to define it more, especially where there was loads of water. The pigment of the pen kind of faded, and that's okay. We can certainly fix it up, and it's okay to go back. It's okay to allow yourself to redo stuff, and it's nothing wrong. It doesn't mean that it's not working or that you're not good enough. No, the suppliers act differently, and it's okay if you feel like, oh, I wish to add something here or there. So I'm just adding those black lines. I added some outside a little bit here, a little there, and I think we can be definitely happy with this. And as a final touch, I would love to add some white splatters. I just love my projects, whether they mix media or art journaling or watercolors with white splatters because this is just making it more, I don't know, creamy looking, more magical looking. And voila, I think we can call this one 5 minute project done. There we go. And you have to admit it, quite easy, super simple. You don't need any watercolor skills, not even doodling skills, because truthfully, you can do whatever you wish with your flowers. I hope you enjoyed this 5 minute tutorial, and I'll see you very soon for the next one. Bye for now. Bye bye. In Piper's older years, Yvonne catered her grooming around more rest breaks because she can
Okay.
as well. There's a lot of understanding going into the dog's temper.
I need to go over it again. She said I could have done bad. Get done. Let me see. Let me see here. I really want to put some dirt in there. Okay, this is my first attempt at this lady's exercise. I did change it a little bit. A little bit. What did she do with the? She was drawing them on the outside and inside or close to the edge, but she said she went back over it with the pen. So I'm gonna let this dry. And here's what it looks like, y'all. I kind of I wanted to give something abstract, like there's like petals overlapping here, but I'm gonna let it dry. Then I'm gonna go over it again with the marker. So I like the result of this first try at that lady's exercise. This part I wasn't sure at, but I'm gonna do my this again. But I think next time I'm gonna use red petals. Okay, there's that. It's not perfect, but I had fun doing it. That's what it's about. So I was looking at this tree here that this guy was talking about. While that's drying over there. So he drew this tree first. That's what it looks like he did. So I guess I'll draw it first with this erasable. Can't see. I'm looking at, he drew the tree first, so that's what I'm looking at, y'all. Okay. I don't know what's happening with my YouTube, but it's not moving. Okay.
Section on winter trees. So we're going to follow that up now with a summer tree and an autumn tree. Basically, I'm going to be using the dry brush technique. This is a good one for using dry brush technique, so that we're able to get that bit of hit and miss effect where we get gaps in the foliage that you can see the.
Oh, the dry technique. He's saying adds the gaps.
I've got just a couple of rough drawings with
Okay, let's see what he did.
Not a lot of detail because it's all about the painting. This you decide where to put the branches and how many to put in, etc. When you've got some paint on. I've got a number 10 brush, so we'll mix a bit of colour for the summer tree. So we want a nice bright green. Good combination for that is, and I've used this again and again in paintings, not too thin, not too watery. It's Orioline and cobalt blue and a little.
I'm looking at his drawing of that tree.
Something to avoid. I see this when I'm teaching this technique in a live situation. Something that happens quite a lot is the way that you talk about foot and more dense towards the centre.
So he actually has like a
more paint in the centre of it and allow your brush to run out of paint, get a bit lower as you get towards the edge, and that's the basic shape of the tree. Something to avoid, I see this when I'm teaching this technique in a live situation, something that happens quite a lot is people dab with the brush like that. They print with it, whereas it's more of a scumble, if you like, a skidding across the paper in almost in a random shape to get that tree-like shape. And then I'm going to get the dark green. You need to get the dark green. Okay, so the way you position the lighter green and the darker green depends on the direction of the light. So let's just imagine for both those examples, you've got the light coming from the right. And I've got a number 10 brush. And obviously the size of brush you use will depend on how big this tree is in the particular painting you're doing. But for this sort of size, this is about maybe 3.5 inches tall, about 4 inches across. So a number 10 is ideal. Again, this technique requires some rough paper, and this is Arch 300-pound knot. But as I've said before, whilst that isn't a rough paper, it's got a really good texture to it. And I've got my thumb at one side of the handle and 4 fingers at the other side, so that I can get the flat of the brush on the paper rather than dabbing with the point. And the shape is roughly a semicircle. So let's get that. The foliage should be more broken towards the.
So he say dry brush.
And more dense ultramarine blue, which goes a lot darker because ultramarine is a richer, darker blue than cobalt. But it actually looks too blue, and a good one for calming it down and darkening it at the same time is some burnt sienna. Okay, so the way that where you position the lighter green and the darker green depends on the direction of the light. So let's just imagine for both these examples, we've got the light coming from the right. And I've got a number 10 brush. And obviously the size of brush you'd use would depend on how big this tree is in the particular painting you're doing. But for this sort of size, this is about maybe 3.5 inches tall, about 4 inches across. So a number 10 is ideal. Again, this technique requires some rough paper, and this is Arch 300-pound. So, and then we want to let's texture to it, and I've got my thumb at one side and 4 fingers a bit more, deposit more paint.
So I'm looking at he's showing how to hold your brush.
My thumb at one.
I'm trying to get to the part where he gets to it.
Knot, but as I've said before, whilst that isn't a rough paper, it's got a really good texture to it. And I've got my thumb at one side of the handle and 4 fingers at the other side, so that I can get the flat of the brush on the paper rather than dabbing with the point. And the shape is roughly a semicircle. So let's get that. The foliage should be more broken towards the edge of the tree and more dense towards the centre. So you can press on a bit more deposit more paint in the centre of it and allow your brush to run out of paint, get a bit lower on paint as you get towards the edge. And that's the basic shape of the tree. Something to avoid, I see this when I'm teaching this technique in a live situation, something that happens quite a lot is people dab with the brush like that. They print with it, whereas it's more of a scumble, if you like, a skidding across the paper in almost in a random shape to get that tree-like shape. And then I'm going to get the dark green. You need to get the dark green in while the light green is still damp, and we can float that in. Getting the darker colour over to the left-hand side away from the light, and then lightening the stroke when I get over that side so that there's more dark on the left, and I can strengthen up the dark just a bit more, still using a dry brush method. I strengthen that up a bit more, emphasising that towards the left because the light's coming from the right. You could put a little bit of the dark underneath because whichever side that's at, it's in the shade. Put a little bit there. I can get a smaller brush now. I've got a number 2 brush. Make sure it's clean. And you can enhance that with a few little extra bits of the dark green. Now that's drifted together quite well, actually. You can sometimes encourage it to blend.
Okay. Oh, it went blurry, y'all.
Lighter greens, but not really needy. I think that's blended quite well. Bear in mind, though, that you have to be quick. You have to go in with the dark green while the light green is still damp, so that you don't get like 2 halves to a tree and the merge and blend. So it is essential to have the colour mixed and ready before you start. So that's about the
I'm not going to mess with it too much.
Sometimes a little touch of lemon will help to, and this is neat lemon yellow, this will help to make the light side even lighter by maybe picking out a few leaves that are catching the light, and this exaggerates even more so the difference between the light side of the tree and the dark side. And something else to observe as well that's very important is your dark green still has to have the light green underneath it. If you paint the light side with light green and the dark side with dark green, which you might think that's the way
I put a little bit too much yellow in there, but I'm still a student, so.
Actually becoming denser and darker because it's not getting the sunlight. So you do need that light green over the whole thing, and then you put the dark green onto that dark side of it.
Okay.
Maybe I could just, I'm fiddling with it now really, but maybe just I could strengthen that dark side just a bit more.
I was just about to do that, and he did it. That is so funny.
Go on to the next stage without.
He said dry brush.
And I'm going to do just a bit of light on the tree trunk. I'll take a bit of raw sienna with a touch of burnt sienna, and I want a bit of dark brown as well for the branches and the shaded area of the trunk. That's burnt sienna and ultramarine blue.
Burnt sienna. I think that's burnt sienna.
Tissue, clean the brush.
And that's what it looks like to me, or crimson. I don't know.
If you were painting a bigger tree, you'd probably want the number 4. Okay, and then I'm painting that.
Oh, he was saying a smaller brush, I guess.
Painting that light on the trunk.
If you mash strawberries in the Bay Area between peanut butter and chocolate, then freeze it.
Okay, so this is my tree, y'all. This looks more like a tree than the other trees I did.
Helicopter just gone overhead. Okay, now again, bear in mind where the light's coming from. It's coming from the right, so the left-hand part of the trunk is in shadow. Apart from here, where you start to lose the trunk in the foliage, it's all in shadow. Okay, now sometimes you might need to just dampen your brush and encourage those to blend. And then where you get, again, that branch daisy, when we lose sight of it in the foliage, it's darker. And then where you get little glimpses of the foliage, and these are different on every tree, every time you paint it, it'll be different. You now got to look for places where there's sufficient gap in the foliage for you to see a little bit of branch detail. Now, if the foliage is still damp, that can help actually, because it means that this will soften into the damp parts, but you'll get a harder edge to depict the branch where you're crossing the dry paint.
My colors ain't exactly the same as writer's his, but better than.
Rather than it can't. If you do too many branches now, it can look like you painted a winter tree with a summer one behind it. So it's actually just now and again,
Okay.
like glimpse a branch.
I did me a little tree here. I feel like I'm getting better at the let me put a little black, little bit of. I'm experimenting with making my paints darker.
Where the trunk disappears into the greenery there, it looks a little bit like the trunk is in front of it, and we need to take it into the greenery. A little bit of lemon can help with that, and just make it look as though it disappears up into that foliage. So that's a summer tree. Very similar approach with an autumn tree, but with different colours. So let's get some nice colour for this.
Trying to blend, y'all.
For the golden side of the tree, where the autumn.
You said a little bit of yellow, and how it just disappears right up in the tree or whatever. I did put a little bit of yellow.
And then for the side that's in the shade, I think what we want for that's more of a brown. So
he did a dry brush.
Start in the middle, because when your brush is wetter, it'll deposit more paint. The colour's ready, because when I start painting them,
okay,
I've got to get the dark colour in.
So there's my tree.
The lighter colour's still wet. And also, in the same as we did with the green, you need the white colour over the whole tree. And that way, it'll look like a shaded side at the left, rather than just a tree that's changed colour. So
let's get this tree. Let's do this tree again. But I'm going to just do where he say just all dry brush.
For the summer tree. So we want a nice...
I'm going to use the same paints already mixed though.
Left, because the light's coming from the right. You could put a little bit of the dark underneath, because whichever side that's at, it's in the shade. Put a little bit there. I can get a smaller brush now. I've got a number 2 brush. Make sure it's clean. And you can enhance that with a few little extra bits of the dark green. Now that's drifted together quite well, actually. You can sometimes encourage it to blend by going back to the lighter green, but it's really needy. I think that's blended quite well. Bear in mind, though, that you have to be quick. You have to go in with the dark green while the light green is still damp, so that you don't get like 2 halves to a tree and the immersion blend. So it's essential to have the colour mixed and ready.
Okay. A little bit of brown in there.
It's more of a scumble, if you like. A skinny number 10 is ideal. Again, this technique requires some rough paper. This is harsh, 300-pound knot, but as I've said before, whilst that isn't a rough paper, it's got a really good texture to it. And I've got my thumb at one side of the handle and 4 fingers at the other side so that I can get the flat of the brush on the paper rather than dabbing with the point. And the shape is roughly a semicircle. So let's get that.
Like
The
this one.
foliage should be more broken towards the edge of the tree and more dense towards the centre. So you can press on a bit more, deposit more paint in the centre of it, and allow your brush to run out of paint, get a bit lower on paint as you get towards the edge. And that's the basic shape of the tree. Something to avoid, I see this when I'm teaching this technique in a live situation, something that happens quite a lot is people dab with the brush like that. They print with it, whereas it's more of a scumble, if you like, skidding across the paper almost in a random shape to get that tree-like shape. And then I'm going to get the dark green. You need to get the dark green in while the light green is still damp. And we can float that in. Getting the darker colour over to the left-hand side away from the light, and then lightening the stroke when I get over that side so that there's more dark on the left. And I can strengthen up the dark just a bit more, still using a dry brush method. I can strengthen that up a bit more.
When you know which app is a trap, Google Playcam. Download it.
Welcome to my apartment, built with affordable technology, like custom curtains in all styles and sizes for under $75. Vintage ornate lighting blinds for under $150. Special accents like craft hardware and photos. For affordable supported outreach space, shop now on
Emphasising that towards the left because the light's coming from the light. You could put a little bit of the dark underneath because whichever side that side is shade. I can get a smaller brush now, nothing over 2 brush. You can enhance that with a few of them extra bits of dark green. Now that's drifted together quite well. You can sometimes encourage it to blend. I'm going back to the lights again, but really, I think that's blended quite well. Bear in mind though that you have to be quick. You have to go in with the dark green while the light green is still damp, so that you don't get like two halves put through and the merge and blend. So it is essential to have the colour mixed and ready before you start. So that's part of the planning, what colours you're going to need. Sometimes a little touch of lemon will help to, and this is new lemon yellow, this will help to make the light side even lighter. Maybe you can have these to the light, and this exaggerates it more so that you can get the light side. Something else to watch as well that's very important is the dark green still has to have the light green. If you paint the light side with light green and the dark side with dark green, you might that's the thing to do. It will look like it's changes colour rather than actually becoming denser and darker to help get it somewhere. So you do need that light green over the whole thing, and then you put the dark green onto that dark side. Okay, maybe just strengthen that dark side just a bit more. There.
I did circles. My circles don't look exactly like his.
Now, waiting for that to dry. And I'm going to get just a bit of light on the tree. I'll take a bit of raw sienna and I want a bit of dark brown as well for the branches and the shade of areas.
I had the brown already right here. So, dude was like, draw with your brush. Okay.
And the number 2 brush is ideal for this, but if you painted a bigger tree, it probably won't have been before. Okay, and then I'm painting that light on the. Sounds like a helicopter just going overhead. Okay, now again. Bear in mind where the light's coming from. It's coming from the right, so the left-hand part of the trunk.
I'm using a smaller brush because I feel like when I use the bigger ones, I feel so challenged.
It's all in shadow. Okay, now sometimes you might need to just dampen the brush and encourage those to blend. And then where you get again that steps in the side of the foliage.
So like I said, draw with the brush, so that's what I'm doing.
And then where you get little glimpses of the foliage, and then these are different on every tree. Every time you paint it, it's different. Now,
Ozzy, don't sit there and fuss in my ear the whole time. You know that's annoying, but don't do it, baby.
now if the foliage is still damp,
Wow, this tree's looking good
it means that this will soften into the dark
for a beginner.
and you get a harder edge to depict the branch where you cross in the dry paint.
So that girl, that lady was saying
Just little areas
less is more.
on the branches, rather than it can't. If you do too many branches like that, it can look like you painted a winter tree with a summer one behind it. So it's essentially just now and then where you might glimpse a branch and then lose it.
Well, he said put the brown in. I don't see how that it didn't look like it went anyway.
Blending there, and I think a touch of lemon on the brush where the trunk disappears into the greenery there. It looks a little bit like the trunk is in front of it, and then you just
Okay.
take it into the greenery.
I feel like I got thrown off a bit when he's talking about disappearing.
So it disappears up into that foliage.
I think what it was
Very similar, very similar approach with an autumn tree, but with different
I
colours.
don't know. Maybe I could.
See nice colour.
All right, it was turning out good, but
Side of the tree where the autumn
let me see here.
catching the light is get some
I can always. So I did add a little bit of dark there, but it didn't help it much. Now it looks like I did it with oils and watercolor. I like the progress I'm seeing. It's getting better. I'm starting to be able to add shadow. I see the shadow there. And I'm starting to notice I'm putting the dark parts in the tree where, like this one. So that was a nice exercise. Let me see what else I put on here. Now I want to try this exercise where the lady's talking about incomplete backwards art, backwards painting, whatever the heck she mean by that.
So really high pigmented areas, really watery areas. And
She was saying incomplete.
I'm using my limited palette of watercolors, cad yellow, magenta, cerulean, indigo, and sap green. And then for the colored pencils, now I'm using Lyra watercolor pencils, but you can use colored pencils, pastels, watercolor pencils, even color, anything that adds extra lines after you do the watercolor. I thought this would be the perfect time to paint spring-themed designs. So we're going to be doing flowers, youth, greenery for sweet peas, and that's okay. We don't necessarily
It looks like she's using
need to fill in
oils.
all of the spaces or the gaps. We're giving the idea and the I am using Lyra watercolor pencils, but you can use colored pencils, pastels, watercolor pencils, even pen, anything that adds extra lines after you do the watercolor. I thought this would be the perfect time to paint spring-themed designs. So we're going to be doing flowers, fruits, and vegetables, which feel very springy to me. And I want to talk you through some of the main concepts of reverse coloring. And there's a few different ways you can do reverse coloring. My way is not the only way. I've been doing it this way for years when I want to do sketchbook practices or keep something really sketchy. It's a perfect technique for card making, for beginners. Anybody can do this technique and it
Can you tell which app is a trap? Google Play can. Download apps, not traps.
always looks good in the end. Okay.
How is she even remembering what colors she used? Like, that's amazing. uh, maybe a little bit of light brown in there. So what does she do? She went like this, and
Okay, so here at the top, I am painting a daffodil, but you don't want to paint a daffodil. You want to choose the main colors in a daffodil and do. Okay, so you're going to need watercolor paper. You can use any watercolor paper for this design, even
I'm trying to get to where
not
she's
the only
actually
way.
doing
I've
the
been doing it
petals.
this way for years when I want to do sketchbook practices or keep something really sketchy. It's a perfect technique for card making, for beginners. Anybody can do this technique and it always looks good in the end. Okay, so here at the top, I am painting a daffodil, but you don't want to paint a daffodil. You want to choose the main colors in a daffodil and do daffodil-esque shapes that do not turn necessarily into a daffodil. So for the trumpet, I put down the orangey red color, but I didn't really fill in the gaps because when we add our lines later, we love white space. White space is your friend with reverse coloring. We don't need to fill in all of the spaces or the gaps. We're giving the idea and the impression of the flower.
So she said leave the gaps.
And sap green, and then orangey red color, but I didn't
How did she do the stem?
fill in reverse coloring. I am using a bigger round brush, a size 10. I'm using my limited palette of watercolors, cad yellow, magenta, cerulean, indigo, and sap green. And then for the colored pencils, I am using Lyra watercolor pencils. I don't want to paint.
Let me see how she does the leaf.
You want to choose the main colors in a daffodil and do daffodil-esque shapes that do not turn necessarily into a daffodil. So for the trumpet, I put down the orange.
Didn't do this right.
Really fill in the gaps because when we add our lines later, we love white space. White space is your friend with reverse coloring. We don't need to fill in all of the spaces or the gaps.
Well, I did it differently.
We can even add too many petals. We can just do a big blob of yellow and then add the petals with the lines later as well. For the leaf, I did do a more exact leaf in color. It's a little bit of a wonky shape, but we're going to do a lot of the shadows and the detail of the line work with the added lines later. So I would just keep everything very simple if you're doing an exact.
But see, when she did I don't know how she angled that brush. She needs to say about how she turned her brush when she did the stem.
Perfect technique for card making, for beginners. Anybody can do this technique and it always looks good in the end.
All the talking. That looks better. Okay, that one looks better. Okay, wow. So she was saying allow the mistakes to happen, or whatever she mean by that. I don't even know where this is going. She said allow them to be broken up. So we'll see what's going on. She said allow there to be empty space. Like don't try to close the space. She was saying no perfectionism. So these ones look okay. You want what did she do this one?
Valleys and depth. So really high pigmented areas, really watery areas, and areas where you feel like there should be something, but we're not going to paint anything there because that's another place we're going to add line detail. The flowers on this one are very abstract. I'm not sure where they're going. They could be sweet peas, but then I didn't do the right greenery for sweet peas, and that's okay. We don't necessarily need to know where they're going in the watercolor layer because the lines will make everything make sense that we add later. And then this one down here, I was imagining a delphinium type shape, but I don't want to create a delphinium. I want to create blobs of color that, like we said before, give interest and a little bit of shape, but we're mostly playing with color and values. We want darker values, which means more pigment, and we want areas with lighter values, which means more water. And we can have areas where it's pretty much only water, but when it touches the other areas of high pigment, we get these nice beads and blends. This is the place in the painting where we want to experiment with subtle bleeds and blends, and then we're going to leave everything. We're not going to add anything extra in watercolor. So keep that in mind while you're painting. What do you want to put down here in watercolor? Keep it light because a lot of the darker details will come from the lines that we have. This can be a really hard practice because we are used to painting and filling in a space to create the object, fully painting it, maybe leaving some white space or some areas that are artistic on the ends, but not.
She takes the time to understand his unique personality. What was once a stressful experience has turned into moments of calmness.
She was saying she's talking about.
But I think it's a really important practice in looseness and leaving things
Oh,
alone.
what the heck did she do up there with this?
Abstract, I'm not sure where they're going. They could be sweet peas, but then I didn't do the right greenery for sweet peas, and that's okay. We don't necessarily need to know where they're going in the watercolor layer because the lines will make everything make sense that we add later. And then this one down here, I was imagining a delphinium type shape, but I don't want to create a delphinium. I want to create blobs of color that, like we said before, give interest and a little bit of shape, but we're mostly playing with color and values. We want darker values, which means more pigment, and we want areas with lighter values, which means more water. And we can have areas where it's pretty much only water, but when it touches the other areas of high pigment, you get these nice bleeds and blends. This is the place in the painting where we want to experiment with subtle bleeds and blends, and then we're going to leave everything. We're not going to add anything extra in watercolor. So keep that in mind while you're painting. What do you want to put down here in watercolor? Keep it light because a lot of the darker details will come from the lines that we add later. This can be a really
Okay, she says keep it light.
we're used to painting and filling in a space to create the object, fully painting it, maybe leaving some white space or some areas that are artistic on the ends, but not most of it. But I think it's a really important practice in looseness and leaving things alone. So the goal is going to be to make the fewest strokes possible.
Okay, she said the fewest strokes possible.
And make sure you have differences in values, the dark values and the light values, which I've already said. Make sure you have those. It will make your lines that you add later look better. So the technique that I use for reverse coloring is I add really sketchy, loose, blobby shapes to my watercolor paper in watercolor, and I let it completely dry, and then I add my colored pencils over the top. In this case, I will be using watercolor pencils only because I feel like the texture works really well with watercolor paper, but you can use almost anything. Crayons, like we talked about before, pastels, pen, um, colored pencils, regular colored pencils. So it's totally up to you. But we want to keep these shapes very loose and open, but we can still kind of get an idea of what they look like. Other methods of reverse coloring could be you paint a whole page of colors, and it's just blobs of color that are blending and merging together. You have all the different values, the darker pigments and the really watery washes blending together. And you can maybe do a reverse coloring of a landscape. So you have
I don't even know what this is.
you have green, yellow, greenish blue shapes for the land, and they're blending together. It's all one big blob. You have not defined any shapes. And then you can go in and use colored pencils to define bushes and trees and other plants, but you do that based on how it dried. So it's another kind of reverse coloring where it's a little less predictable and you let the watercolor tell you what is there versus this watercolor reverse coloring is a little bit forcing the shape because we can tell what the shape is going to be in the end, but that's okay. We're just mostly focusing on swipes of color that give us a general idea of the object that we're painting. I love this way to reverse color. I just made a birthday card the other day for my mom with strawberries and blueberries and these raspberries. I think raspberries in reverse coloring are the coolest. And it said, "We love you very much." And I just think using reverse coloring on cards is a great way to make
I think this is fun. Let me try this one over here again.
But it just makes it cute, really, really cute, and takes it to a very birthday card level. So now that we can see the berries that I painted, I have strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. Me telling you that, you can see it. You can see that those are raspberries, you can see that those are blueberries. But if I had that on a page and this was the finished piece, you might think, your raspberries could be better. This is not about raspberries looking good. It's about maybe kind of a little bit having a raspberry shape, and then we create the magic of the final shape with the lines that we add later. So same with this carrot. We can tell it's a carrot, but it's not a good carrot. It doesn't have to be a good carrot. We're just kind of blocking in the colors, leaving white space, adding different values, adding different colors, even colors that you wouldn't expect. We are seeing
Okay, that looks better.
really true to the actual color of the object
Okay.
process part, but we can go crazy and
Okay,
have
so what's
so
she
much
doing
fun.
with this carrot? This is fun.
My
Where like
favorite
there's no rules, there's no
strawberries
wrong way to
and
do it.
raspberries. I think raspberries in reverse coloring are the coolest. And I'm gonna
Raspberries.
love you very much. And I just think using reverse coloring on cards is a great way to make berries, which can be, it's just a berry on a card, which can still look good, but it just makes it cute, really, really cute, and takes it to a very birthday card level. So now that we can see the berries that I painted, I have strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. Me telling you that, you can see it. You can see that those are raspberries, you can see that those are blueberries. But if I had that on a page and this was the finished piece, you might think, your raspberries could be better. This is not about raspberries looking good. It's about maybe kind of a little bit having a raspberry shape, and then we create the magic of the final shape with the lines that we add later. So same with this carrot. We can tell it's a carrot, but it's not a good carrot. It doesn't have to be a good carrot. We're just kind of blocking in the colors, leaving white space, adding different values, adding different colors, even colors that you wouldn't expect. We are seeing pretty fairly true to the actual color of the object with the watercolor process part, but we can go crazy and have so much fun with the colored pencil oil pastel additions. If you're doing pen, that would be really cool because you can make your pen drawings exact. You could draw an exact carrot over the top of this carrot blob.
I
And
don't even know what
pretty
what this is.
cool piece of art. So instead of starting with the lines like a coloring book, it gives you the lines and you color it in. We are reverse coloring where we are going to be painting in the idea of it and then adding the lines, which I think gives a really sketchy, painterly look, and I love it. This process of only leaving an idea of a shape can be really tricky, and our brain and our body and our soul just really wants to fill it in all the way. Even on that farther right strawberry, I fill it in too much. That's okay. It will look good still with the lines added over the top. But this is a practice in letting go, letting it be a blob. Don't fill it in.
I did a little. It looks like a little carrot
Yes, a
there.
little bit.
It
It
ain't the best.
add all of those details that needed to make it as perfect or as sketchy
She
or
was
as
saying, don't try to
wild or
make it
abstract as you
perfect.
want it to be.
So this looks like a carrot. That looks like a rose.
And I'm
Some of this stuff I don't even know what it is. It's just random little flowers.
now we're going to get out the sketchy, over the top
Well,
colors.
okay, but I see what she did with the. Look like she did a little, and then she kind of wet the brush, and then she just went ahead like that
Colored
with the
pencils, watercolor
um.
pencils, crayons, oil pastels, or just ink, a pen. Any of that will work. It's super fun to use watercolor pencils or colored pencils because you get to add layers and layers of sketchy color, and that is my favorite look to do.
I don't even know what. She said, don't try to make sense. Just have fun with it. Okay. It looks like a little, some sort of, that looks like some sort of eggplant or something there. So let's try this, whatever it is she got up there. She said, don't try to make it perfect. So, okay. I think I'm gonna mix the orange with the red on this one this time. Sorry if I'm not looking, y'all. Okay. Wait. Okay. I'm trying to resist being perfect, as she says there is no mistakes in this, but I do need to. I don't even know what that is. Just having fun. Yes, it's very relaxing. It's like this exercise she got going on. You don't try to focus on perfect strokes. Like you just accept the way you're brushing. And then she said it's about letting go, she was saying. And then she said you could go around it with a pencil or an ink pen or something. You can pick, okay, like this red, I could go around this here when it's done.
I am starting with yellow to define the petal.
And she was saying, I guess define it.
Sketching inside on top of the water.
So inside, I mean, that's what she's saying. But I think she also put little dots. I'm looking at what she's doing here. The screen is so little. So she actually got good around. And it looks like she's going on the inside where the space is at too. So she's going around with the colors. Like I would have to go with a purple with that one because that's purple. I would have to use a blue, blue colored pencil for that one. And she does have some random looking shapes there that looks like it could be something, but don't know what it is. It's just like your imagination or something here. So I guess, but she said don't try to fill in the space. Don't. I guess she was saying like something like that or whatever. But I think she said you can keep just don't when you do it, don't try to like purposely. So I know she was just doing anything like
All 50 states approved free water tests for U.S. homeowners to see if they qualify for a home
so
water
some
bill.
random stuff.
This is due to recent testing by the
Okay. That carrot, I was surprised I was able to do that carrot. I could have picked a brighter orange for that carrot. But she was saying you could add water. Like just don't try to make it perfect. See how that carrot's turning out? I like how that carrot. So this is a darker one. Yeah. So there's the carrot there, y'all. I guess I could go over. There is the carrot that I just did right there. So think about a field with flowers. This is supposed to, she said it's supposed to be like an abstract picture. Well, I just did this tree here. I was practicing trees a moment ago. Some of y'all just chiming in. This guy was having a tree exercise, so I did those trees. But these are like fruits and vegetables and random flowers here. But and then I did this one, y'all. For some of y'all who are just coming in, I did this one. This one right here. Some lady was saying use the pen or whatever, get a pen and do it, but it was like based upon drops she put on the page, and then all you had to do was use your water flow, like the water, and pull the color and then add your darker colors. I could have added reds and oranges, different colors, but this is the first time I was trying this exercise. So this was very relaxing, y'all, and I really needed it. Like we'll talk. I really needed this relaxation. So this guy, his tree exercise is like you're loading your brush up dry, and then you're doing circles to create the leaves, and then you just go over with the dark parts wherever you want, the leaves to be dark. But he said you just keep doing circles. But I like that he has a pre-drawing. That was a good tree video there. This is a good video too, where you just draw a circle, like you do a crooked tree, uneven, odd shape of a tree, and you go in it light green, and then you wait for it to dry, and then you go over it with dark green, and you add some branches and some brown at the bottom. It kind of looks like a comic book tree. This tree that she's doing right there look like a comic book tree. I want to challenge myself and do this one right here. Thank you for the compliments. Y'all like the experiments, Anita? Sometimes I think we just gotta. I think sometimes we don't look for solutions. We just get the solution is emotion. Sometimes the emotion is getting a better, a healthier emotion is the solution. I like how they're doing this one. Look at this. It's like, and then they going over with dark. They going darker, and it looks like they're using tissue to spread the color out and smudging here with that brush. That's what it looks like. And then they're just drawing. But if I want to do the branches, I would use my pointing marker first. So I'm gonna try this real quick just to see what happened. I love like doing art and like, I just want to see what happens. Let's try this one. So blue is baby blue, is medium blue, dark blue. Then it looks like they added a little bit of black, a little bit of purple. It seemed like, and then it seemed like they started smudging. But it looks like they did a triangle shape here. So we'll see. Hmm. Look at the beginning here. I don't know if it's wet. The page is wet. He doesn't say. They don't say if it's wet. Oh, yep. They painting. They pre-painted with some water, y'all. I swear, okay. Woo. This looks like they're going with the motion of the paper and doing some other spots. Because that's what it looks like they're doing. Like they're trying to add. Y'all, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, it seemed like they're smoothing some of the edges out. I don't know, y'all. They don't really say how much I don't even know, y'all. This don't look like theirs, but it's working still somehow. And they're doing this. I don't know. It didn't get soft. It still looks heavy, which makes me think I probably need. Okay, so I think I was adding too much paint. I think I needed to keep it fluid. I think I'm just going to, I think I'm not, I think I'm going to do it again. But this time I'm going to just make sure I don't make the cloud so big. I think that was kind of intimidating me. We won't find out, y'all. Okay. Or I could spray the paper first. I could do it that way.
My husband called me delusional when I told him about the viral ginger trick recipe, but then got jealous when he saw me
Maybe
at
I
the
should
beach
do it
wearing the
this
same
way.
bikini I wore at
This
23.
way.
You know what?
That actually worked out a little bit better. I'm thinking about like following where the water. I do have to do it the drop way, y'all. I think I'm gonna leave it mostly like this. Just add dark like. That looks better than before.
النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: من سقى مسلما على ظمأ سقاه الله يوم القيامة من الرحيق.
I was just thinking about going with how I feel rather than like trying to do it identical to how this person's doing it. I really feel like art is just kind of, it can be very intuitive, just following your own feelings, I guess. Cause they use a brush. I just said I'm gonna just do mine. Mm, who knew? Right when you think, it's funny because that's a mistake, but yet it still looks good. It's funny how sometimes mistakes make stuff look good. Okay, this one was fun. So mine don't look like theirs, but I did something, y'all. I didn't like where it was going, so I decided to just have some fun with the paint. This paper. Okay, let me go here. Okay, that this one was interesting because I just went with my intuition in adding contrast. Uh, I don't know, maybe those are darker clouds, and yeah, I don't know, y'all. So I think I still could add. Um, so I just tried to add like what it would look like if there was some leaves falling. So here's the sketches I did. Here's everything I did today, y'all. For some people who are just coming in, I did this one. I just did this one. This one ain't dry. I just went fun, had fun with this one. This isn't quite like what the teacher was doing, but I felt like I just wanted to go with the mood that it was giving me as I was doing it. Here's, I guess, some little random abstract flowers in the carrots and stuff. And then this is just me learning how to do trees. I like the way I did the bark on this one. The strokes are a little better too. I did start getting heavy on the paint, so I do need to do less is more. So like the guy was saying, and he was saying darker, I guess, as you get. He was saying, I guess darker. See, it's like when I go, he said I could go darker over the green, but you have to do it before it all dries. some black in there. Hi everybody, I gotta go get my charger for this. But I'm gonna quickly draw the brown with it. It might hang up. If it hang up, y'all, thanks for watching. Okay, this looks something like a tree. A fun little tree there. Okay, bye everybody. See y'all later. Bye. So it made your eyes heavy, Anita. So it looks easy watching it. It's not easy. It's actually hard. Bye, Anita. Thanks for joining. Bye bye.